Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7 and today we are taking a look at the Artisan Cutlery Cleo. And that's with the ultimate goal of finding out if this is worth adding to your collection or your daily carry rotation. Now, this did come to me from the Lefty Pass Around group. I don't get to keep it. It's going to go back to the Lefty Pass Around group after this review. It was designed by Johan Jordan and it was OEM'd by Artisan. Now, jumping right into it, we've got titanium scales, front and back. We've got this beautiful diamond milling texture on both sides. Now, the pocket clip doesn't have like a clear space underneath it, but this isn't very deep, so it's not going to be a pocket shredder. We have T8 hardware for everything except the pocket clip. And then we do have a deep carry milled titanium pocket clip, and it is reversible, which is pretty neat because it's an ambidextrous locking system, so it's nice to see some lefty love. Now, as far as the ergos go, I was a little concerned because of the size of the knife, but to be honest, with this super generous finger choil, you can get a full 4-finger grip and it doesn't even feel cramped. It feels pretty darn comfortable because the fat of your middle finger can sit right here, pointer finger here, and then you just squeeze it around it. And better yet, there's no risk of pushing that button and disengaging the lock. So ergonomically, it feels great. If I were to just come back here, I'd be looking at a 3-finger grip. If I choke up right here, a 4-finger grip. And that's not uncomfortable, but I'm not getting to take advantage of this finger groove unless I'm choked up here. So if I choke up right here before the choil, it is 4 fingers. It's just not quite as comfortable because I'm not taking advantage fully of this groove or the finger choil. Now this thing is super lightweight. It feels super lightweight. Very agile, easy to manipulate. It's something that would definitely kind of disappear in the pocket if you didn't, remember you had it on you. Rather, if it's in the pocket, you might forget that you have it on you. But you could go jogging with this, right? Gym shorts, go out and run a couple miles, right? Like we all do all the time. And this would be just fine. It's not going to pull your shorts down. Now, as far as the balance goes, I want to say we're balanced right about at the groove, and we are. So the balance on it's fantastic. And we do have some jimping, but this jimping is non-functional. It's really just for indexing. Now, we do have a massive fingerprint that I just left. There we go. We have a sheep's foot style blade with a beautiful sand polish. We have a flat grind, and we are rocking S90V. And what's cool is that Artisan's actually listing the HRC on their website at 60 to 62, which is in the range of optimal for S90V. So I'm happy that we're starting to see more companies listing the HRC. Now, and with S90, it's, really the main attribute is its edge retention. So not only, is this thing light and pocketable, but you're not going to have to sharpen it that often. This thing's going to be like a little workhorse. Now, whenever you do go to sharpen it, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to sharpen because the properties that help it maintain its edge during use also help it maintain its edge while you're sharpening it, right? So you might have to spend a little more time trying to get it sharp, but when you factor that you're not going to have to sharpen it that often, I think it's worth the trade-off. As far as the detent goes, so this is interesting about this knife in particular. So this is a plunge lock. right? Plunge locks don't have a traditional detent because there isn't a liner lock or a frame lock to put pressure on the blade with the detent ball to kind of give it that feeling of, resistance whenever you flick it out, right? So it's just the pressure of the spring, which is hardly enough to give a knife the feeling of a detent. However, with this knife, and I don't know if it's the entire line or if it's just the one I'm holding in particular, but whenever I push the button in, there's like 5% of the plunge still making contact with the blade, which means the blade's getting just a tad of resistance. Now, it can certainly drop shut, but you can also shake shut it, which I think is really interesting because that makes this knife substantially more satisfying to fidget with because it actually feels like it's got some detent. And you can see that because I push the button, the knife starts to fall, it stops right there, and I can shake shut it. And like I said, I mean, it's certainly drop shut. If you don't want to operate it that way, you can just use it like a normal button lock. But I appreciate that that's an option. Now, as far as the acoustics go, very light and tingy acoustics. Which I'm always a big fan of. And this is lefty friendly with the reversible pocket clip and the ambidextrous locking system. Oh, there we go. Now, that was close. The overall length of this is 5.91 inches. So it is a little guy. The blade is 2.52. And that gives us an overall blade to handle ratio of 0.74 or 74%, which granted, the first inch of this isn't blade at all, but given the size of the knife, I think the blade to handle ratio is perfectly fine. It also helps a little bit that the blade kind of gets fatter as you go out, but the handle tapers off and gets thinner. So overall, I still think, even though the blade to handle ratio isn't optimized, I still think it's a really good looking knife. And then as far as the weight goes, it looks like I put down 4.6 ounces, and that's not true. So let me grab the scale. We'll do it old school. So 2.4 ounces. That sounds a lot more reasonable. I'll do a size comparison. We'll start with the Real Steel Sylph, which is by no means a large knife, and it is going to dwarf the Artisan Cleo. Let me slide these down a bit. And then we have the milled aluminum Civivi Brazen, which is going to dwarf both of them. And this last one's probably not necessary, but for the sake of consistency, the Civivi Praxis button lock is going to be about twice its size. So this is a little guy. Here, let's put it up against a pen. There we go. That probably gives you a better idea of what we're looking at. All right. So what's this thing come in at price-wise? Normally, whenever we talk about Artisan Cutlery's premium models, they hit that $199 like clockwork. Like every model, if they give you S90V and titanium, it's $199. With this guy, it's actually just $149.99, and I'm sure that's attributed partially to it being, you know, half the size of a normal knife, right? So that's half the S90V. It's going to be half the titanium, much smaller area to work with. So normally, less size doesn't mean less cost, but it looks like in this case, Artisan was able to bring the cost down quite a bit. So at $150, you know, would I carry this knife? Oh, absolutely. I think the small footprint of this knife, the fidgetability of it, the edge retention of it, and the fact that it's not boring. You know, it's got an interesting blade shape. It's got the milled diamond textured titanium. You know, it's small, but they dressed it up quite a bit. And I think S90V and titanium with, you know, for $150, I think that's an excellent price. You know, you still get the fidgetability, you get the finger choil, so you still have a 4-finger grip. I think this is going to be perfect for people that enjoy small knives, that want a premium build, and, you know, that also are looking for good edge retention. Would I collect this? And whenever I say collect, I wanted to clarify, because I've gotten some questions in the comment of would I collect something, like what do I mean by that? Whenever I say would I collect it, excuse me, that means does it have a permanent stay in my collection, right? You know, or, you know, that could also mean that I'll baby it a little bit, right? I won't hard use it. So for something like this, this wouldn't necessarily have a permanent stay in my collection, and I would absolutely hard use it. So this isn't necessarily a collector's piece for me, but this is something that I would use and carry, and something that I definitely think is worth the $150 price point. And my question for you, is this something that you would use, or is this something you would carry or collect? Do me a favor and drop a comment down below and let me know. Now, I will have this knife linked in the description, and they also just came out with a copper version that comes in at $140. I imagine that one will be quite a bit heavier, but this thing disappears in the pocket. So if you want this size, but something that's a little heftier, something you won't forget's in your pocket, then that copper version might be a good choice for you. But this will be linked down in the description. It's not an affiliate link. I don't have any of those yet. And if you like videos like this, subscribe. Do me a favor and also hit the like button. And you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at SEVRSEVN. I appreciate the support. You guys have been absolutely amazing. We just hit 1,040 subscribers, which is incredible. We're moving very, very fast. My average view time beats the tar out of a lot of YouTubers that are bigger than me. Like their average view time is like 1 or 2 minutes, whereas like mine's like 3.5, almost 4. So thanks again for that. I love you guys to death. Anyway, I'm done rambling. Until the next time, peace.